Hello, welcome to another episode of the Fisher Fitness Coaching Podcast. This is episode 34. 34 times in a row. I said to myself when I first started this, I will do a year, 52 episodes back to back, week after week. So the fact that I've got to 34 is pretty, I'm quite surprised by it. I think I've said this before, the top 2% of podcasters get past like 10 episodes or something. So that's reassuring. Even though there's only a few of you who listen, I think I'll get an average of like 25 downloads per episode. Some 30, some 40, some 50. An average of 25. So that's good. As long as it's helping a few of you, that's cool. So anyway, hope you're all good. Thanks for tuning in. As per, this episode is going to be based off a question one of my clients asked me this week. And it's about, so this client is in a fat loss phase currently. I'll go through what he's wanting to do. He's in a fat loss phase. He wants to get into good shape or better shape for his holiday in May. So he's got a bit of body fat to lose. So he's currently in a fat loss phase. So just started with me, maybe start of January, so 3 weeks in. Lost a few kilos, all going really well. I get a text from him yesterday saying, Rich, I'm a bit worried. I'm going out with my wife for a birthday. We're going for some food. I'm a bit anxious, a bit sort of worried about it. Do I need to track? How do I track? What do I need to do? How do I update my spreadsheet? It was clear that he was getting a bit worried about the whole thing because he didn't want to ruin his progress. He wasn't sure how to track. He wasn't sure if there was a way of knowing how many calories he was going to be consuming. So I obviously got back to him with some tips. I actually gave him a webinar that I'd recorded a few months ago, only for my clients. So I sent that over to him, and it's like a 10-minute webinar of me going through all the different things you can do when in a fat loss phase. When you're wanting to go and eat out at a restaurant, I think it's called, can you still lose body fat while eating out at restaurants? And here's some tips on how to do it. Anyway, so I sent that over to him. All helped. He was happy. He was happy with what I told him. So I'm going to give you some tips. A few of the tips I gave him, I'm going to give to you now because I guess it's a fairly common problem when you work so hard to create a deficit and lose body fat, only to then think, shit, I'm now going out for a meal. How am I going to track? What do I need to do? Is there a way? Because you don't want to be that guy or girl who starts tracking their food, trying to track their food at a restaurant, or you don't want to be asking the waiter or the chef what ingredients go in the food or how much butter, how much oil. Don't be that person. It's just not worth it. You need to enjoy yourself. You need to enjoy these delicious foods and these decent experiences going out enjoying delicious food. And I know how much oil and how much butter is put into these delicious foods because my brother's a chef, so I know how much of this stuff goes into foods. And they do it because it makes the food taste delicious. That's all they care about, is for you to enjoy the food, leave a good review, and then come back for more and tell all their friends and family about it. So they get busier, they make more money. So they don't care about your fat loss phase. They don't care about how many calories you consume. All they care about is making the food as tasty as possible. So you rave about it and you go back for more. Or you refer people to that restaurant. So don't be that person. Don't even try and track. That's my first tip. Don't even try and track what you're consuming in the restaurant because it's virtually impossible. Yes, you can you can get a rough estimate of how much you're consuming, but you don't know. Like I said, calories are all estimates anyway, so it's not even worth the stress. What you could do is, before you go to the restaurant, no matter whatever restaurant it is, before you go to the restaurant, look up the menu on the website and maybe pre-choose what you're going to have, and then that way you can. There's no stress. There's no rushing into making decisions, because when you're in the restaurant and the waiter comes up to you and says, "Okay, what would you like?" Sometimes, and I've been there, you're not ready. You haven't decided what you want, so you just pick anything, and at least when you're at home, you can take your time going through the menu. You can take your time reading it and looking at all the different options, and you can have a rough guess in your head what you're going to have when you are asked at the restaurant. And also, then you can choose potentially more sensible options. So you can, if it might be a good idea to choose a leaner cut of meat, for example, like a chicken breast based dinner or meal. You can choose a side of vegetables or salad, instead of going for the chips. For example, I'm not saying do this, by the way, because let's be honest, I probably wouldn't do it, but I'm just giving you options. And you can pick and choose from these. You don't have to do them, but these are things you can do. So you can, and going on sides, you don't have to have the whole side to yourself. You can share sides. You can share a plate of chips. You can share a course. You can share a course with someone. You can, instead of having the full three courses in the restaurant, you can maybe just go for one course and maybe share a dessert, or you could maybe go for a starter and a main. You don't have to go for three courses. You're going to save yourself a lot of calories by choosing one course rather than three, or even sharing a course. You can share a starter and have a main by yourself, and then you can share a dessert, for example. So those are there are a few tips for you. So the first thing, I guess, the main thing I want to mention, excuse the pun, main thing I want to mention is one evening won't make much of a difference anyway. So instead of stressing about it, try and enjoy the evening out. Try and use it as a way of, I don't want to say rewarding yourself, but especially if you've been in a fat loss phase for a while, a few weeks, a couple of months, use it as a way to think, right, I've done really well. I'm going to go out and enjoy myself. I'm going to make better decisions. I'm going to make sensible decisions when it comes to choosing what to eat. But I'm not going to let it stress me out, because one day, one evening, it's not going to make much difference. It's what happens long term which causes you to gain this unwanted body fat. The reason you're in this position right now, potentially, and you want to lose body fat is because, on average, you've been in a calorie surplus for the last 10, 20, 30 years. So it's not like one meal out, it's not going to cause a huge amount of fat gain. It may not even cause any fat gain. Yes, it may cause body weight to go up due to the influx of food, gut content, water retention, and muscle glycogen from the increase of carbs and salts. But it's not necessarily body fat. So if you do go out for some food and you don't track and you just enjoy yourself and you have three courses and you have a great time, you have a few beers, maybe don't weigh yourself the next day, because your weight will go up, but it's not necessarily body fat. So don't stress about it too much. So I guess that's the first thing. Just one evening, it's not going to make a difference. So I know it's easier said than done. It's easy for me to say just don't stress, because you may stress, and I can't help that. But just so you know, the calories you consume may not lead to fat gain or much fat gain. So enjoy yourself, enjoy the foods. Like, food, I think, is one of life's not few, that's like right, that's the wrong word. Many pleasures. Like food needs to be enjoyed. So yes, go out and enjoy yourself, but maybe not every weekend. Like this is what I was going to say. So one evening out, having a decent meal, a 3-course meal and some beers or wine, whatever. Every now and then, it's not going to make a difference. However, if you do this every week, yes, it may make a difference because it will either slow down your fat loss results massively, or it will put you back to maintenance, which means you'll get very frustrated when you're trying so hard during the week, and then at the weekend you're going out for this meal to sort of reward yourself, but the amount of calories you're consuming in this meal and drinks is pushing you back to maintenance, which means you're not losing any more body fat, which means you're getting very frustrated, and you'll press that fuck it button. You'll think, well, what's the point of me trying? I'm going to stop, and I'm going to go back to what I was doing before. That's when fat gain will happen, and then you'll get even more frustrated, and then you'll think, I need to sort myself out, and then you'll start this whole cycle again. So going out every weekend for a meal and drinks is probably not a good idea. Well, it's definitely not a good idea. Every once in a while, absolutely fine. I would recommend it. So yeah, I think I've gone through. Don't track, because I don't even recommend tracking. If you want to track because it'll make you feel better, then pre-track before you go out. So like I said, choose what you can have in the restaurant, and then be as accurate as you can when you're putting that food into your tracking app. You won't be able to know the amount of oil and butter, so it's just best to guess. As long as you have something there to make you feel better, then give that a go. But like I said, I'm probably repeating myself here, but choosing sensible options before you go out. So like more a vegetable based side, or a meal with a lean cut of meat instead of a fatty cut of steak, for example, or duck, pork, whatever. Sensible options. Sharing sides is another good one I've mentioned. So sharing a side with your partner or your mates or whatever, sharing chips, sharing a course, having a main course, but sharing a starter and a dessert, another good idea. What else have I got here? In terms of drinks, a lot of calories are consumed via liquid when you go out. So if you think about it, if you have a starter, main, and a dessert, that's already pretty damn calorific. Then when you take into account alcohol, beers and wines, you can easily add 400-500 calories just through alcohol onto that evening. So you're talking easily 3,500 calories in an evening. So just be aware, like, alcohol still counts. It's still calories. So maybe stick to diet drinks. Maybe stick to water or Diet Coke or Coke Zero, Diet Lemonade, Diet Ginger Beer or something. Or there's lots of non-alcoholic beers or cocktails nowadays you can choose from. So if you're looking to save calories, then it might be a good idea to stick to diet drinks and knock the alcohol on the head. Offer to drive, for example. The second from last thing I want to mention is you don't have to eat everything on your plate. For some reason, when it comes to restaurants and being out eating with your mates, people feel pressured to have to finish everything. You really don't. So leave food on the plate. Leave food there. It doesn't matter if you don't eat it all. You've paid for it. Don't feel like it's a waste, because this is your health we're talking about. These are your goals. This is what, go back to why you are doing this in the first place. And if you start thinking, oh, it's a waste if I leave this, it doesn't matter. You're gonna help yourself out more by leaving food on the plate. If you're not hungry, don't eat it. When you are eating, eat nice and slow if you can, unlike me. Try and enjoy every mouthful. instead of inhaling it within a few minutes. But if you are full, leave some food on the plate. It's gonna save you some calories. So there's something you can do. There's a method you can do, which is called calorie banking, which I teach my clients. And it's basically when you almost save calories for that specific night out or meal out. So this is why I give them a weekly calorie allowance or a weekly calorie budget. Basically, you have your weekly calorie budget. Those are your calories for the week. What you essentially do, you consume around 200-300 calories less on 2 or 3 days leading up to that meal out or that event, that specific event. It just means that you can have more calories on that day or evening without necessarily going over into a surplus, which means you're going to still be in a calorie deficit or at least maintenance. It's a way for you to enjoy yourself without having that sort of fear of, oh shit, I'm going to go over my calories, I'm going to put on body fat and I'm going to ruin my progress. You don't have to do it, but it's a method that some of my clients like to use. Some of them don't like to use it. The only downfall, the only negative, or the disadvantage of using this is if you have a weekly allowance, it's quite easy to sort of use up most of those calories in the first 1 or 2 days, which means you're left with not much to have for, let's say, Thursday, Friday, and then the weekend. Meaning you're more likely to go over into a surplus, meaning you're more likely to gain body fat. So this method can be very helpful for some, but it's not useful for everyone. So it's just something that I thought I'd mention. So yeah, that's basically it. I think I haven't missed anything out. I don't think. Just a few tips for you to try. Obviously, some may work more than others. You can use them. If not, you don't have to. But at the end of the day, you don't want to stop going out and socializing. You still want to get the results while still enjoying your social life and still having a few beers here and there. And calorie banking can be a very good way of doing this, making sure you're in a consistent calorie deficit while enjoying a few beers or a few wines or a meal out here and there, or a curry pizza with your mates, with your partner, whatever. So yeah, that's it. Hope it helped. Nice and short one today. Next week, I am buzzing to have a chat with Andy Morgan from Ripped Body. He's got his own podcast too, which is really good. But yeah, I'll be chatting to him about the 3 phases. So these 3 phases are bulk, cut, and recomp. And we're going to talk about each phase and what they are, what they mean, whether or not which phase you should be in, how do you know which phase to go into, and what you do if you want to transition from one phase to another. And we'll talk about training and the nutrition side of things, and essentially how we, what we do, how we help our clients transition from a cut to a bulk, or a bulk to a cut, or cut to maintenance, that sort of thing. So yeah, really looking forward to that. That's next week. So I'll get that uploaded probably by Thursday, because I'm going away on Friday. So yeah, I hope this helped, guys. Thank you for listening. And again, I appreciate a review on Apple or Spotify, whatever you can do, and then appreciate a share on your social media too. If you just click one of the links on Spotify or Apple Podcast, and then share the link to your story or share it to Instagram, I'd much appreciate it. Right, have a good one, guys. I'll speak to you later on. Take care.